It was the record label that gave the music industry a well-aimed kick up its somewhat flabby posterior. An independent that gave a chance to talent no one else wanted to touch. Talent like Elvis Costello and Madness, who became household names. Now journalist Richard Balls has written a definitive history of Stiff Records, the label set up in 1976, just as a music revolution was getting started.
The reason that Dave Robinson and Jake Riviera started Stiff Records was because they were going to venues like the Nashville and the Hope and Anchor in London, and the whole pub rock scene was happening. And they saw these people who were writing amazing lyrics, really talented singers and performers and songwriters, but they weren't getting heard. And it was kind of a frustration, I think, on the part of those two people that led to them starting Stiff off.
Stiff gave a chance to many artists who soon found fame and fortune. The Pogues, Ian Dury and Kirsty MacColl all cut their teeth there. New Rose by The Damned was the first British punk single. Others found more niche markets. No other label wanted to know them. By
the mid-70s, the music industry was effectively, had become part of the kind of corporate jet set. It was actually part of normal business, and decisions about acts as to whether to sign them and albums coming out, these decisions were taken in boardrooms, over long meetings and so on. Stiff basically would take a decision written on the back of a fag packet in a pub over lunchtime. But the label had vision, seeing that picture sleeves and coloured vinyl added value and could make their products collectible. Marketing tools which spread right across the industry. The major labels really had got incredibly lazy, really. I think Stiff realised that if you dressed the package up a bit more, and you know, they just felt that the buyers, the customers, deserved more. They deserved a product that was exciting, that people would wait for it to come out. There'd be some anticipation around it. In a respectful nod to Stiff, small numbers of Richard's book have been given different coloured covers. Richard interviewed a whole host of Stiff artists as part of his research, finding that most had fond memories of those days, as do many of us old enough to remember. Stiff really strikes a chord with people, I think. It really puts, as soon as you mention it to people of a certain vintage, it kind of puts a smile on their face. Everyone remembers how fun it was. Everyone immediately starts talking about, oh yeah, they had this great slogan. Do you remember that sleeve? Do you remember that when that took... You know, everyone talks about it still to this day. Stiff folded in the mid-1980s before it had a chance to become part of the establishment it had railed against. The label was reopened by new owners 20 years later, but that is a story for another day. Matthew Hudson, ITV News, Norwich.
Oh, a lot of guitar.